Testosterone is such an interesting topic nowadays because not only is it the root of men existence, masculine existence I should say, it is also the root of family. Without testosterone, there'd be no family. And likewise on the woman end of the spectrum, without estrogen and FSH and LH and all of these other important hormones, infertility would arise. And that is the issue we are coming towards. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't know how much YouTube will accept, to be honest. But it is an issue. And it is slowly getting worse and worse. The average testosterone levels are slowly dropping more and more. And it doesn't take me or a scientist to know that. You could go ask a random person, they'd be able to tell you. It's something we can innately sense inside of our DNA. Lower and lower and lower. Yet what can we do? Well, I will tell you in this video. And no, I'm not going to say inject steroids because that literally defies the point of increasing fertility. Pumping yourself with steroids is the stupidest thing you can do, as a matter of fact. Sitting there with TRT and tren and all this other stuff. Brother, unless you literally have zero tests, it is the most pointless thing on the planet. And apparently to the news in this country, UK, there are people who are taking the pill to go on in steroids, go on TRT. Killing their entire hopes of having a family in the future. Why? Just for a bigger pump at the gym. That's it. And I don't want you to be the same. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the top 3 ways to increase your testosterone. And it won't happen like this. It will happen over a long period of time. And the longer you do these things, the better you will feel. Number 1, the easiest thing is you can go outside. Even if it's raining, sunny, it doesn't matter what it is. The sun is still going to have an impact. And the sun releases something called vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is a flipping miracle for humans. What do you think humans had 2,000 nanograms a deciliter back in 1500s? Maybe the thousands, I don't know, I haven't actually researched this stuff to be honest. I don't know when they had 2,000 nanograms, 3,000 nanograms, but it was thousands of years ago when there was none of these buildings and roofs and anything around us. It was just sun. And if it wasn't sun, there was rain. But the vitamin D3 from the sun rays still comes and affects us deeply. Something you can tell is if you go out and stand in the sun for an hour, not only will you feel more happy, less stressed, you'll also feel more powerful. And it's not just because you're going to look a little bit darker with a tan. It's actually because it affects your testosterone. And obviously if you've got more testosterone, it makes sense that you'll have a little bit more strength. And also less cortisol. Which I'm just going to say quickly, cortisol is the killer of testosterone. I made a whole video on it, it's in the testosterone playlist linked below. And the next thing I will say is you want to decrease your stress levels as much as possible. Because like I said, cortisol is bad for you. It really is. The reason it's bad for you is because it probably diminishes of your life expectancy very marginally over a long period of time. That's marginal numbers going to become bigger and bigger and bigger until you lose 2 years of your life. Why? Because you're stressing about stupid things. Now there are multiple ways to decrease your stress. There have been studies with ashwagandha, there have been studies with magnesium, there have probably been studies with all other supplements and such. But the way I'd suggest completely diminishing your stress is a system called Eat the Frog. It means you do the difficult task as early as you can in the day. And once that's off of your mind, now you can do the easier tasks and the easier tasks and the easier tasks. And the day becomes easier when your mind is fully rested to do the most difficult tasks. Because you're going to be the most powerful. All the stress is gone. Because now you just do easier and easier and easier tasks throughout the day. Like 10 PM this evening, I'm just going to eat dinner. That's not a stressful task, you know. But maybe now I'm recording videos and at 3 o'clock I need to do this, which is slightly easier. And then I go to the gym, which is slightly easier. I go play football, which is again easier. Maybe there's more metabolic stress, but up here there's less. And like I said, cortisol and testosterone are inversely proportional, which means cortisol goes up, testosterone comes down. Vice versa. Test goes up, cortisol comes down. Which is why it's really important, the number 1 thing you can do to completely diminish your stress. Even if you don't want to eat the frog, if you need to do the hard task in the evening, fine. It's going to increase your stress maybe 5%. That's it, that's fine. Sleep long enough. Because you need to be fully recovered, you need the hormones to rebalance, you need to get REM sleep, for those of you who know what that is. The best way to do that is to sleep as long as you can between the time 9 PM in the evening, which is quite early, and 11 PM, and waking up roughly 5 to 7 AM. Obviously, 8 hours is suggested. The more sleep, the better though. Honestly, I think that. The more sleep, the better. Old people need less sleep. That's because they have less recovery to do inside of their mind of hormones. Teenagers, the reason you sleep for 12 hours is because you need it. Maybe you don't need 12 hours, but your body is requesting you sleep 12 hours. Why? To repair all of your hormones. When you sleep, it's when your hormones become repaired, and it's when you feel rejuvenated in the morning. And the final thing I'd suggest in this video is eat healthy foods. Eat healthy foods, because the unhealthy foods are making you fat. What does this mean? Well, it means, I'm not really fat at the moment, but it means you get these breasts. It means you get huge bum. Dudes with huge bums. Why does this happen? Well, estrogen, the female hormone, the number one female hormone, right, I believe, and testosterone, they don't get along very well. Estrogen defeats testosterone, which means if you have lots and lots of estrogen, you're going to have less and less testosterone. It's not perfectly inversely proportional. Obviously not, because otherwise you'd have 100% estrogen, 0 test, that'd be impossible to recover. It's not inversely proportional, but the more you have, the less testosterone you have. How do you get estrogen? I'm glad you asked. It's by being fat. Now, how do you get fat? By eating too much crap. You eat too much oils, you eat too much bread, and all of this other BS. Why do you think people get bloated after they eat bread? Bread, the long form carbohydrates and that, takes a lot of insulin and all of these other digestive enzymes to break down, and you can't even digest all of it. So a lot of it's just staying in your bloodstream and it gets stored for later. Honestly, glycogen gets stored and that helps store fat. Yes, maybe it's water weight sometimes, but when it's not water weight, it's fat. When you've got high levels of fat, high levels of estrogen are present, because for whatever reason, fat and estrogen have a linking together. I'm saying for whatever reason because I don't know the science behind it. But when your fat's higher, you have more estrogen. Which means if you're eating lots of unhealthy crap, if you're eating lots of McDonald's, if you're eating lots of oily fish and chips and all of this other crap, literal just garbage, not human food, estrogen goes up, testosterone comes down. I promise you, if you stop eating fast food and sweets for 1 month, your testosterone would increase. Even if your testosterone is at 160, it would go up to 180 at least. Honestly, it would increase. You wouldn't even be able to feel it, because your test might already be good. But if you start implementing these 3 things, if you start going outside and enjoying nature, being able to become one with nature, peaceful man, where you go see the sun, and you go appreciate the sun every single day, and you sleep long enough to recover all of your hormones, you get enough REM sleep, which is really good for you, and you stop eating all of these crappy foods, then you will become somebody who's no longer at 200 test. You might go up to 300 test, which is a 50% increase just by doing better habits. So stop putting the blinds down and living in these extremely dark rooms for your entire life, looking at a screen, and actually go experience nature. Stop pulling all-nighters, because all-nighters crash your tests through the floor. You thought bedrock was the base level. No, it's not. They crash it all the way to the bottom, man. Maybe not negative, that's an exaggeration. And then if you stop eating DoorDash in your McDonald's in your dark room that you never sleep, and you stink of shit, and you stop DoorDash in your McDonald's, and you genuinely went downstairs, opened all the curtains, opened all the windows so you're getting direct sunlight to you, because that's the only way you can absorb it. You start moving, you start getting blood flowing, and you start cooking, your testosterone will increase. And just as a bonus, just as an unfiltered section, just in case you've watched it, movement is king. I'm telling you now, there are 60-year-olds who are more fit than you, even though you're 20. Reason being, because they continuously moved through their lives. They didn't sit down like this for hours and hours and hours a day on these stupid chairs. They got up, they went on walks, they got the blood flowing, they got the blood moving, they did lots of stretching, and they continue to nowadays. If you continue moving, the momentum you get from moving will actually keep you going longer and longer in your years, because your testosterone will increase. That's factual. Tell me one old man you know who continuously works, continuously moves, and is fat and can't even walk 10 meters. It's impossible. The less you move, the less strength you'll have in your later years. And unless you want to be a grandpa who's whipping around in a wheelchair at 65, no offense to anyone who is, one thing I would say is you have to keep moving. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you watch right to the end, and I genuinely appreciate that because it's going to help me a lot. And obviously I've helped you a lot. It's a mutual exchange of value. So I'd like to say thank you for watching all this way. I hope you learned something. As long as you start applying this as soon as possible, your testosterone will start going like this. It won't go like this anymore. It won't be going like this. It'll be going like this. And like I said, it won't take days. It won't take weeks. It might take months. It might take even a year to see fully how many benefits you're gaining. It might take years. But it will happen. Especially if you're young enough to. The older you get, the more difficult it is. But now, if you're young, you're about to reach the peak of your testosterone. You push for it. You push for it again and again and again. That peak will just go higher and higher and higher because you're making it higher. You're doing the correct things like a champion. And that I completely commend. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. May God bless you, bro. Stay strong out there. And I'll see you tomorrow.